morning, Malacañang Press Corps, and welcome sa ating press briefing ngayong araw, July 12. The Department of Trade and Industry recently concluded a 3-week investment roadshow in Europe. The agency generated about 73 billion pesos in investment leads from the renewable energy and infrastructure development sectors, among others. And to give us more details on this, we are joined today by Trade Secretary Alfredo Pascual. Good morning, Secretary Pascual.
Good morning, Daphne.
Go ahead, sir.
Well, thank you for that introductory remark. We spent 3 weeks in Europe with my team, and we were accompanied also by private sector representatives, particularly the president of SEPI, the Semiconductor and Electronic Industry Association of the Philippines, and Jack Madrid, the CEO of IBPAP, the Association of Business Process Outsourcing Organizations. During the 3-week investment roadshow that we had in Europe, I had the opportunity to witness firsthand the positive outcomes of our efforts. I'm pleased to emphasize the roadshow success, which has resulted, as mentioned, in 48 potential investment leads. Of these, 16 have explicitly indicated investment values totaling more than 73 million or billion pesos, potentially generating more than 4,300 jobs. These are direct jobs. The European government and the businesses warmly received our delegation, recognizing the roadshow as a testament to our active engagement. That's the important thing, that we are engaging with our counterparts in the EU as well as the business organizations in that grouping of nations. And we were able to do our investment promotion efforts in the region. The primary objective of the European Investment Roadshow was to gather investment leads for our priority sectors, namely manufacturing, high-value services, renewable energy, and research and development. Additionally, we sought to foster strategic partnerships and collaboration with the European government, particularly the EU, and as well as businesses in the region. We went to 5 countries: France, the United Kingdom, Belgium, the Netherlands, and Germany. We recognize their interest in investing in the Philippines and the support they can provide as we pursue our sustainable growth and development objectives. It became very clear that their main attraction to the Philippines includes the strategic location of our country, the large population that we have, which translates to a good market for them, and the young, talented, and skilled workforce that we have in the country. Not to speak of our natural resources. During the visit of the delegation, we had the opportunity as well to meet with the EU officials to discuss 2 crucial agenda items. One, the renewal of the GSP Plus for the Philippines, and number 2, the resumption of talks on a free trade agreement between the EU and the Philippines. I was fortunate to meet with the EU Commission President, Ursula von der Leyen, and in my business meetings, I emphasized the significant policy reforms the Philippine government has been undertaking to create an enabling and friendly business environment for foreign investments in our country. The two items I mentioned are critical because many of our exporters to Europe depend on the tariff concessions given to us under the GSP Plus. And it's important to commence or recommence discussions on the FTA because our eligibility with respect to the GSP Plus will be not be there anymore the moment we become an upper middle income country. Well, right now we're classified as a lower income country, and our expectation based on our growth trajectory, we will become an upper middle income country within 3 years or so. That means in 2025. And by that time, we will become no longer eligible for coverage under the GSP Plus. So in order not to disrupt the preferential trade arrangements available to our exporters, we need to shift to a more permanent platform for trade, and that is the free trade agreement. There might be speculations regarding the investment leads garnered during previous foreign trips. Let me assure you that the Department of Trade and Industry has mechanisms to monitor and evaluate the progress of investment leads from our previous foreign trips. We ensure transparency and accountability, although we cannot always disclose the names of specific companies that we deal with due to confidentiality demanded by private companies, which are subject to competitive pressures. While some leads may take longer to materialize, we exert continuing efforts to facilitate investment implementation and address any attendant obstacles. As you may note, with EO number 18, we were able to get the President's support or approval for creating green lanes at national agencies as well as local government units. And there will also be a one-stop action center in the Board of Investments for our prospective investors that are classified as bringing strategic investments. It is essential for us to understand that investment leads are typically long-term commitments rather than immediate actions. It's not like, you know, investing in shares listed in the stock exchange, where after you show the potential of a particular issue, that an immediate investment decision can be made and remittance of the investment follows, you know, the decision right away. As you very well know, in investment decisions involving foreign direct investment, there is normally a series of steps that is followed, starting with the first expression of the interest and the decision to explore the feasibility, and then feasibility study, and then usually the obstacle is in our own internal processes, which we have addressed by coming up with the Green Lanes executive order. And we have also assistance center in the Board of Investment to make sure that in our internal licensing and permitting processes, both at the national level and the local level, are expedited. And after that permitting, then the contracting, the construction of a plant, if there is a plant to be put up, or the setting up of the offices, and then recruitment of people, and so on, until the preparations are completed and the operation of the business is commenced. In the meantime, investments flow into the country, not in one go, but in steps, depending on the requirement for expenditures in putting up the business. The DTI remains committed to developing an enabling environment that attracts and supports investments. We exert promotional efforts to build and maintain a robust pipeline of prospective businesses that will sustain the inflow of investments into our country over time. You know, bringing investments into the country is not a one-time exercise. It's a continuing requirement. We need a continuing flow of investments to the country to support our economic growth. And with the economic growth, we create jobs for our growing population. We are producing 800,000 college graduates a year. And we need to find jobs for these people. And of course, there is local capital, there is expansion of existing businesses, but this additional job-creating opportunities might not be sufficient, so we need to bring in new businesses, and then we need to diversify our economy so that it is more resilient and could withstand shifts in markets and shifts in the global environmental situation. It is crucial to emphasize that significant investments take time to implement, and their benefit to the country is also long-term. Okay. So it takes time to solicit, to implement, and to operate the business. But the moment they're here to stay. Unlike what we call hot investments, you must have heard of the term hot investments. You know? They go in and out quickly, like those made in our stock exchanges. At the near end of the pipeline, for instance, we developed the pipeline, but at the near end of our current pipeline, 6 companies we met during the past presidential visits are already starting their investment projects in the country. They will contribute to our manufacturing, renewable energy, and IT BPM industries. Collectively, they are expected to generate approximately 17,800 direct employments. Given the reality that not all leads may materialize, I'd like to reiterate that. The reality of life is that not all leads will materialize. We must sustain our efforts, therefore, to generate investment leads to achieve our desired level of investment over the long time going forward. Just like in any business, the selling job does not stop. You know, doing investment promotion, selling the country, and that effort does not stop. It's not a one-time exercise. We must nurture the build-up of diverse investments to ensure a thriving economy that's growing for our growing population. Rest assured that DTI, along with the whole government under President Marcos Jr.'s leadership, will continue working tirelessly to ensure that several of the investment leads we are gathering during our foreign visits will get implemented eventually and create more stable and better paying jobs for Filipinos. We remain dedicated to contributing to our economy's inclusive and sustainable growth. I'll end there, and
Thank you
we'll
for
be
the
happy
update,
to
sir.
respond to
Any
questions from
questions?
our audience.
Jean Mangalus, Inquirer.net.
Hello, Sec. So can I just clarify that when you spoke to the EU rep, is it about the human rights condition that the EU has for the perks we have? Is that?
Well, the GSP Plus is a concession provided by the EU to us. But it's not one way. They are providing concessions. They have imposed obligations. You know?
Yes. So
And these obligations pertain to some values that they believe in, which we also believe in, and for which we have already signed international conventions like human rights, labor rights, protection of the environment, etc.
May we have more details about what you
So
spoke about?
when we talk to them, they're checking, you know, because they've raised certain issues in the past. You must have read in the papers. And we briefed them on the latest developments about a few points that we don't cover the whole range. They just have very specific concerns that we were able to address, and they were happy about it. I had an interview in which I mentioned the successful discussion I had with the EU officials I met. I met with the officials of the EU Parliament, the EU Commission. These are two bodies. Of course, there's a third body which I didn't meet anymore, because that's usually that's called the EU Council, which is composed of representatives of the member countries. But the real work is being done by the EU Commission. That's the executive branch, just like our executive branch in the Philippines, and the EU Parliament, which is the equivalent of our Congress. So I had a meeting with them and explained to them recent developments with respect to certain issues that they are interested in.
Okay, Nestor Corrales, Philippine Daily Inquirer.
Secretary, just a follow-up. When you say that the EU is happy, does this include their concerns raised regarding sa human rights? So they are happy with how the government is responding or addressing the issues they raised earlier pertaining to human rights violations or conditions in the Philippines?
Yeah, they have seen progress. It's not as if nothing has happened to address the issues that they're concerned with. And you are all aware of this, you know, they're well published, you know, the results of those matters that are of interest to the EU.
Okay, Pia Gutierrez, ABS-CBN.
Sir, during the roadshow, was there a discussion on the Maharlika Investment Fund? And
None.
how? Yes.
None.
No.
None. No discussion.
Why wasn't it brought up, sir?
As I explained to you already, we are after a foreign direct investment, not investment through funds. And I think there is a separate roadshow that's being undertaken by the Department of Finance for that purpose. And we address different audiences, you know. In our case, our discussions are with operating companies, the companies that do the actual production, manufacturing, etc. Whereas the investors we want in the investment fund, in Maharlika Fund, are normally financial institutions or financial entities.
Okay, yeah, that would be under Department of Finance. Maurice Umali, TIMA, GMA7.
Secretary, good morning. I understand there is also a German company that plans to bring in a tunnel boring to help the construction of the subway. How will this go about, considering that we already have contractors? And then, aside from this German company, will there be other investments to help our subway construction?
No, the German company is already here, but they want to bring in more equipment, more pieces of equipment, so they can do more projects or speed up the construction of some of our important infrastructure projects. Okay.
And aside from how much investment are they planning to put in?
We didn't talk of numbers because they're already here. They were talking initially of two major pieces of equipment for developing the foundation of infrastructure projects. They kept on emphasizing to us that normally people don't recognize their contributions to our infrastructure projects because we don't see the work they're doing. Like, for example, they are building the structure that will support the tunnel through which the subway will pass. And the work, we don't see their work, because they're eventually covered. And then they also perform platforms for structures, tall structures, building structures. They're here, they're operating here. They want to bring in more equipment so they can take on more subcontracts. But there are constraints that we have to address pertaining to that.
Like what specifically, sir?
Well, they would like to be able to have 100% ownership of their operating company here. But there are legal issues that we are now looking into that's preventing that at the moment.
So does that mean that this will be a hindrance for more investments to come in, especially coming from the companies from Germany? Or
No,
for
that particular
specific company only?
that particular company. We have addressed a number, the ownership constraints already when it comes to renewables, remember? The opinion issued by the Department of Justice that led into the revision of the IRR implementing the Renewable Energy Act. And under the IRR, we are now allowing 100% ownership of renewable energy projects, including wind, solar, and tidal energy.
Apart from that, nothing else. Especially with the concern of this German company.
That particular German company, yeah, they see a lot of potential in the country. But they want to be able to bring in more capital. Through, when I say capital, that's not necessarily just funds. It could mean capital equipment.
So you mean to say, sir, that will not be a hindrance anymore, even because they see potential in our country, even if they want 100% ownership, it will not be a hindrance for them to put in more investment.
They're operating here under present arrangements, and we want them to commit further capital to their operation here.
Okay. Eden Santos, Net 25.
Secretary, good morning po.
Good morning.
Are you planning to do more investment roadshow sa iba pang mga bansa? Kasi sabi niyo kanina, we have 800 college graduates.
800,000.
800,000 graduates per year. And yet ito pong sa Europe ay mga 4,000 direct jobs lang yung ano pa natin. Para mas marami tayo sanang maibigay na trabaho doon sa 800,000 na to.
Oo. Marami naman, iba-iba naman ang nag-generate ng job opportunities, Yung direct investments, of course, yung IT, BPM industry natin, ang malaking employer din ng skilled graduates, Of course, meron tayong maritime industry, and we send a lot of seamen abroad, na mga college graduates din yan, And then yung mga overseas Filipino workers na karamihan college graduates. So marami but in my discussions nga with the European companies, I kept on emphasizing, you want our labor, you might as well set up your factory here, and so that our workers will not have to leave the country but do their work here for your companies, and serve your export market, as well as cater to the Philippine domestic market for those that are producing consumer goods.
So ano po naging tugon nila doon na
Well,
dito lang sa mag-set up ng kanilang mga
They're
negosyo?
seeing the light, and it will mean also a lower cost of operation. Because if we bring a Filipino worker, a Filipino engineer, for example, to Germany, they'll have to pay the Filipino engineer salary almost equivalent to what they're paying a German engineer. Whereas here, with the lower cost of living here, the wages can be lower. And of course, not only that, if they are going to cater to the regional market, then the Philippines, being part of RCEP, will have access to all the member countries of RCEP. If the investment will cater to the ASEAN region, then we have the ASEAN grouping, for which we have almost tariff-free trade between the countries of ASEAN.
Aside from EU po, meron ba kayong ibang mga nakikitang potential na pwede nating pagdausan din ng same investment roadshow na ito?
Marami pa. Hindi pa tayo pupunta sa Middle East. Sa Europe, we went to 5 countries, and there are many other countries, the Nordic countries, for example. We try to reach them through I don't know whether you're aware, the DTI has a representative in each of our major trading partner country. We call them the Foreign Trade Service Officers. Common term used to call them is commercial attaché, trade representative, commercial counselor. We have when we went there this time, we had to deal with our representative in Paris, based in Paris but taking care of France. The one based in Brussels, taking care of 3 countries, Benelux, Belgium, Netherlands, and Luxembourg. And London, we also have one representative there, Germany as well. We have continuing promotional effort. Pero iba yung minister level, because if it's a minister level, chances are we'll be able to talk to the top level executives also of the target companies.
Last na lang po, hindi ba mahirap ibenta ang Pilipinas sa ibang mga bansa, mga investors sa ibang bansa po? Hindi kayo nahirapan?
Not anymore, because of the reforms that have been undertaken recently. You will recall that a number of reform measures have been done, the amendment to the Public Service Act, the amendment to the Foreign Investment Act, the amendment to the Retail Trade Liberalization Law, and then the passage of the CREATE Act, and then the relaxation of ownership restrictions that we did recently for renewable energies. And then also our openness to engage other countries. Yun ang talagang nakaka-create ng interest, that we are prepared to send high-level delegations. That means we're really keen on inviting them, hindi yung pabalat bunga lang. Yun ang importanting message. And not only that, geopolitical developments are such that Europe is developing great interest in the Indo-Pacific. Kaya tayo pupunta ron kasi yung mga kapitbahay natin sa paligid-ligid natin, ginagawa yon. Kung hindi natin gagawin, pag mag-iisip na yung investor mag-invest sa ASEAN or Southeast Asia, sino unang may isip? Siyempre, yung nakakausap nila. Kaya kailangan, pakita rin tayo. Parang ano lang yan eh. Alam niyo naman yung sa business, di ba? May mga salesman. Kumisan, sales manager pupunta. Kumisan yung presidente pa, hindi ba? Para kumuha ng negosyo. Tsaka walang hinto yun. It's not a one-time exercise. Tuloy-tuloy dapat yun. And continuing build up a pipeline so that if we have a bigger pipeline, kahit na certain percentage will not materialize, we still have a lot that will be implemented.
Okay, that's great. So great climate for promoting the Philippines. We have Harley Valbuena, DZME.
Hello, good morning po, Secretary. Sir,
Morning.
you have mentioned that the DTI has a mechanism to monitor and evaluate the investments accumulated by the President sa kanya pong foreign trips. So, natrack po ba natin yung amount kung magkano na yung investments na nag-materialize na in the country?
Meron yan. Andito.
Highlighted.
Ang nag-materialize na, the number that we expect to materialize in 2023 will total around 88 million US dollars. Maliit pa, no? Yun lang yung up to June this year, and we expect some more to ripen and eventually lead to the inflow of investments. 88 million. It's not so large as yet, but the potential is, as we announced before, we have a pipeline that we were able to build up amounting to around 70 billion US dollars.
Okay.
Sir, pwedeng malaman kung ano pong mga bansa or saan mga bansa nang galing itong, yung at least June po this year na investments, kung meron po.
Hinahanap ko yung listahan, hindi ko memorize. Summary of investment thesis. The business has been registered or registered with the BOI or other investment promotion agencies, 6 projects, 88.4 million US dollars. And then following it, mayroon tayong 6 classification, starting yung confirmed investment not covered by MOUs or LOIs and still at the planning stages. Doon, marami doon, And then next is yung with MOU and LOI signed, yung second category. Third category, agreement signed with clear financial value of project. And then business registration in progress. Yung fifth, yun yung business or business registration is made or registration with BOI or other investment promotion agency. Yung last category, yung sixth, is the business been registered and the operations have commenced. Okay, doon yung 6 operations have commenced. And then under yung second category, level 5, 6 then with 4.2 billion US dollars in indicated investment value.
Okay. Are we able to disseminate that, the chart? Not yet. Are we able to give them a copy of that, or not yet? No.
Yung summary, yes, we cannot show the names. Laki-laki. But we have all the names of the companies.
Okay. Let's move on to Sam Medanilia of Business Mirror.
Sir, hello. Going back lang po dun sa kanina, yung nabanggit nilang mga investment leads sa European trade show. Meron po silang nabanggit earlier na 14 investment leads related to manufacturing na na-secure ng Philippines. Ano po kayang mga sector to? Tsaka meron po ba ditong involved sa processing of ores at agriculture products na gusto po ni Pangulo?
Okay. Yung 48 leads nakuha natin, ang mga sectors niyan, manufacturing and related services. Kasama na dyan yung, kilala namang company to, babanggitin ko na Airbus, na merong IT BPM at different types. Our IT BPM is so varied now, ranging from customer services, and tinatawag nilang voice services, saka yung non-voice. The more advanced technologically are those engaged in solutions for cybersecurity and game development. Then sa renewable energy, ito malaki to, in fact, sa registration ng BOI, to date, 2/3 renewable energy. merong wind, solar, and hydrogen. Yung hydrogen, the moment this is implemented, will be the first in Asia, in Southeast Asia, to have that hydrogen power generation. That's with a French company. And then yung infra and construction services. Yung isa yung pinag-uusapan natin kanina rito. The equipment provider, hindi lang equipment provider, they do the foundations of infrastructure projects.
Bali sir, wala pong related sa green metal processing.
Wala pang specific, but we've always mentioned it. And meron naman tayong kausap outside Europe na potential partner.
Okay.
Tapos, sir, last na lang po. Is there any commitment from EU when they will extend the GSP for Philippines? And if they ask for any conditions before they decide to do so?
Based on our discussion and also confirmed by their published action, there is a joint committee within EU that proposed the rollover of the existing GSP Plus for another 4 years. That means rollover under existing conditions, so walang additional obligation.
Okay. Alan Francisco, PTV
Pero ano pa yan, we are still awaiting a final approval by the Parliament. Yun lang ang recommendation ng Joint Committee. Based na rin on our discussion.
Hi, Sec. Good morning. I understand that this month we are celebrating the MSME month. By any chance, have you discussed with the European investors on how we can help the MSME here in our country?
Pinag-usapan namin yan, kausap namin yung manufacturers of or suppliers of aerospace industry. We want to develop our small and medium-sized enterprises that are engaged in metalworks for producing various parts that go into aerospace equipment.
Okay.
Sa France, sa Belgium, may nakausap ako that's in the business of selling flavors out of agricultural crops. In our case, we export, for example, banana chips. But there is a big market for banana powder. Or we export coconut water or coconut milk. But there is a big market also for coconut meat powder. In other words, the coconut meat as is pulverized, and the powder is the one that's exported as flavoring for various food products produced by companies in more developed countries.
Okay.
So that's one thing that I will most likely pursue. That's one of my plans to encourage the small and medium enterprises operating in our regions that are engaged in processing of agri products to consider this possibility. And I talked to DOST, and I was told that they have already devised an equipment that can do such operation. And I'm just hoping that when the budget is approved, we will have funds for what we call shared service facilities. Ito yung equipment that we will place in a particular location, say coconut area, and then people engaged in coconut industry will be able to share in the use of that equipment.
Okay. Last question, Pia Gutierrez, ABS-CBN.
Sir, follow-up lang dun sa question ni Harley. Sir, how many direct jobs are expected to be generated first dun sa $88 million in investments that we expect to materialize this year, and also for the 70 billion na potential investments already in the pipeline?
Yung sa first 6 companies, around 4,500 jobs.
We're good? Is that it? Okay.
Sir, yung
No
yung
follow-up.
sa EU roadshow, no? Pero yung nabanggit nyo po na 88 million.
Yung sa 88.
Yes, sir.
Ayun nga yung doon sa 88.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Follow-up na lang yung sa potential investments na 70 billion already in the pipeline. May estimate na po ba tayo kung ilang direct jobs will be generated?
Yung sa overall, ang hirap mag-speculate, ano? But yung sa 71 billion US dollars, there was an old estimate for that. I just don't have it handily available. Well, definitely they're in the thousands of jobs. Yung sa EU, yung 16 projects out of the 48 that we hope to materialize amounting to more than 73 billion pesos. The estimated job generation is 4,300 because some of these the projects that are capital intensive normally they are less job intensive, capital intensive, less job are generated. In the BPO industry, that's where we are able to generate a lot of jobs. Some outfits have thousands, 10,000 jobs in one organization. So what we want to happen is that we bring in the capital-intensive industries, and then we develop our MSMEs to serve as suppliers to these companies. So the suppliers among the MSMEs will also generate jobs on their own to support the operation of the manufacturing enterprise.
Thank you very much, Secretary Pascual of the DTI, for the updates from your 3-week roadshow in the EU. Very promising, and a lot of stories for our Malacañang press corps. Thank you very much, and have a good afternoon.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Daphne.
Yeah, thank you. That's a lot of...